Hello, and welcome to the CivilNet podcast. I'm your host, Angela Hasassian, and joining me today is a longtime friend of CivilNet's, Timothy Straight. Tim has served as the Honorary Consul of Norway and Finland for 25 and 20 years, respectively. He has founded Homeland Development Initiative Foundation, also known as HDIF, but many of you may remember him as the guide behind CivilNet's beloved series, Straight to the Village. Thank you for joining me today, Tim.
Oh, it's great to be here. You know, CivilNet is my second home. So still, after all these years.
Yeah, I mean, you've been part of CivilNet since the very beginning.
Very beginning.
Yeah.
And Norway was one of the countries that funded CivilNet in the very, very beginning when nobody else knew what it was or believed in it. And now we have this amazing track record and just astounding. So.
And you also, through the series of Straight to the Village, you've journeyed over 100 communities across Armenia to present the economic and social realities in very specific terms. What was one thing that stuck out to you as a lesson about Armenia and its people? And was there any recurring themes that you encountered?
In all of those episodes that I did, I think there were actually about 140 of them or so. I mean, we went into these villages having almost no idea what we were going to talk about or who we were going to meet or what kind of conversation we were going to have. A little bit of planning, of course. But it was just, for me, it was like I was the tourist. And just go in and you meet these amazing people. And I remember specifically, you know, a lot of my stories go back to Tavush and specifically to Shamshadin in the Baird region up in Tavush. Today's trip is going to Shamshadin. Shamshadin is in the Mars of Tavush, but on the back side of the hill, over the hill from Dilijan. It's probably the region of Armenia that suffered the most during the conflict with Azerbaijan, being cut off from the main roads and directly on the border with Azerbaijan. Let's see what kinds of interesting stories we can find there today. And I remember that huge statue you have right next to the village of Navur, up in Shamshadin. And there's this massive statue of, it's not Sasunsi David, who is it? It's one of the Armenian heroes.
Okay.
And he's got his sword up and he's facing towards Azerbaijan and all of that. And this shepherd, he had to be 80 years old, comes toddling down the street, and we started talking to him, and I can remember, you know, the questions about his life and how many sheep do you have and how's it going in your village. The typical straight to the village questions was what's going on in this village, and just the contrast between this up on the hill and then this guy 80 years old kind of that's one of the most poignant episodes that I can remember. Can it be seen? Can it be seen from Azerbaijan? And then also up in Shamshadin, actually, in the village of Chinari, just going into a village where literally, when we went into the mayor's office and we sat down and we were telling him what we were doing, we always like to inform people that why we're running into their village with a camera. And there were bullet holes in the walls of the mayor's office. That's how close they were to the border, are to the border today. And so just sitting here, and he's talking about the life and how difficult, and then as I'm looking at these bullet holes and talking to him about what we're going to do, he suddenly gets a phone call and he says, "I'm sorry, I have to leave now because we have a forest fire and I'm on the fire brigade." And so he had to run out of the office and go help with the fire brigade. So it was, I mean, these episodes, and then some of them were very funny as well. It's like I keep going back to Shamshadin, but I don't know why. But the village of I don't remember the name of the village even, but there's a factory for making compote and canned vegetables and stuff. And I was thinking, of course I was thinking, oh, well, this has potential for export to Europe and the US, and if they're really professional and the building looked kind of okay, perhaps needs some fixing up and stuff. And then went into the factory and there was a row of about 38 bathtubs inside the factory.
Okay.
And each bathtub was filled with water and either tomatoes floating in it or cucumbers floating in it or something like that. And a lady sitting there with her apron washing and peeling the vegetables. And I thought, this is never going to fly in Europe.
No.
This is never going to fly. And I asked about, do you have an ambition to export to Europe? And he goes, no, way too complicated. Russia is a lot easier.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so this issue of EU integration and EU candidacy for Armenia, I'm like going, okay, we have some work to do.
Yeah.
Because to bring small enterprises like that up to snuff, up to European standards, it's not done overnight. At all.
Yeah.
And it requires investment and time and sweat and blood to meet those standards. And so I could tell 100 stories like that, you know.
I mean, we're going to be rerunning a lot of the episodes.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh.
So for those who don't know, Timothy Strait has been here for 25 years already, right? So kind of in the commemoration of those 25 years, CivilNet is planning on rerunning a lot of those episodes. So, and it's interesting. So Shamshadin was really one that kind of stuck out to you with its stories and its villagers and of course lots from Munich and other places. I mean, just 140 episodes, 140 different villages. So So again, 25 years, Armenia has changed a lot, but how did you come into the role of Honorary Consul for Norway and then later Finland? What does that mean? Like, what does that even entail on a daily basis?
Yes, I run 2 consulates, yes. I came to Armenia on September 4th of 2000 for the Norwegian Refugee Council. And it was a simple fact that to that position as head of office of the Norwegian Refugee Council at the time, the title of Honorary Consul belonged to it, basically. It belonged to the job. And I had no idea. I had no diplomatic experience. I had no idea what was going on. And then 5 years later, Finland came along, and the Finnish ambassador at the time, who I still write messages to this day, she talked to the Norwegian ambassador in Moscow, because that's where I reported for the first, until the revolution, you know, more or less, even after the revolution, and said, can we borrow your consul? And so I was kind of sold off.
Interesting. Okay.
Take him. You know, transferring ownership of me also to Finland. And no, but it's incredible. The ambassadors, I've been through a lot of ambassadors, and every one of them has been really, really good. Each of them with their own distinctive style, and you get used to their personality and what they like and what they don't like, and which meetings they like to include me in and which meetings they don't want me included in. And so it's very different. But the job of an honorary consul, people have various ideas of what that means. It is basically an administrative position where if there are inquiries for visas, I answer them. If I don't have the answer, I write to the embassy. If a Norwegian or a Finn loses their passport, they come to me. If they, all kinds of things. I've actually, this is the first time ever in all these 25 years, I've had 2 citizens pass away in Armenia.
Oh my God.
And so I've had to, take care of things. But thankfully, in both cases, there were family and organizations behind both of them that took care of most of it. But going through this it was
a new thing,
I don't wish it on anybody to have one of their loved ones go on holiday somewhere and then have a heart attack and pass away. That's just not a pleasant thing. Yeah. So anyway, but and so I generally represent the country. I go to receptions, I say hello, I meet the delegations, and even next week we have a Finnish delegation coming. And now I have to say, if I can extend that question into how have things changed in terms of relationships between Norway, Finland, and Armenia, it's increasing since the revolution, since 2018. It took a couple of years to figure out, is this a real thing? And it is a real thing. The country is changing. It is moving towards Europe. There's a lot going on. The attention on Armenia is becoming more and more significant, simply because it is a democratic country and they have democratic elections. And now people, and it helps that Georgia's sliding a little bit. But no, it's Armenia is in fashion in a way, and that's great. And we want intelligent projects. We want intelligent involvement and not throwing money at it.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things we were asking questions when Georgia was getting all that attention is there was a lot of money being thrown at Georgia, and I was always wondering, is this
the right way?
What's going on here? And so now and Armenia was asking, well, why aren't we getting any of that attention at the time? Because this was not a democratic country at the time, and so now it is, and now we have a lot of attention coming, lots of delegations. And then, my goodness, with COP17 coming, 1 year from about now. Yeah. And just being involved in the Zooms and the discussions and the visit. We've had the Ministry of the Environment from Norway. We've had
Would you say that's the most meaningful aspect for you personally, too? Like
anything that develops Armenia, anything that develops Armenians, right? And so when they're asking, you know, who should we work with, I'm always looking for the intelligent young woman, basically. Those are the intelligent young women, and I know lots of them in Armenia, and they're so talented, and they're so the women of Armenia can do amazing things. And so I'm very gender friendly, and I'm very, you know, democracy friendly, and so I really want to give the young people generally, but women in particular, an opportunity, because the women, I feel, are the future of this country and this democracy.
We're actually going to get into that a little bit later, but first I wanted to ask you, many people may not know that you're technically Sir Timothy Straight.
Yeah.
And you were
squared.
knighted.
Sir squared.
I was going to say,
Sir squared.
After being knighted by the King of Norway and the President of Finland.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not an everyday occurrence. Can you tell us the story behind that?
Literally, I'm from Ohio. We don't brag a lot.
Yeah.
The only reason I am knighted by Norway is because I served Norway as their honorary consul for 7 years.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And so and I didn't screw up. If I screwed up, I probably wouldn't get it. Finland is the same. If you do it for a certain amount of time, then you are knighted. So I'm a knight of the first class of the Republic of Finland and the Kingdom of Norway. Yeah. And so yeah, I have diplomas. I have medals. You know what's really frustrating?
Oh no.
Is that I have medals because I'm knighted. Hoi hoi hoi. And I can't wear them, because I can only wear them if other knights are in the room at the same time. And so if any of you are paying attention when I go to receptions and I have my gray suit on, which I hate, but it's okay, I have little red and purple buttons on my lapel, and that is our secret language. So if I see other little purple or red buttons,
that's when you can...
they're also knighted.
Interesting.
And so then I can put my medals on.
Wow.
But I have never once, since being knighted by these two countries, been able to wear my medals.
Such a shame.
So that really stinks. But I don't know of anybody. It would be really interesting. I'm curious. Is there anybody else in the world that has been knighted by two countries?
Would you? Interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah.
I think, wow. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. So
going back to your support of women, especially women in rural areas, that's kind of what HCIF was built around. It was built on the idea of supporting local artisans and also creating jobs. Was there an order of which came first in terms of goals? And also, if you stop doing this tomorrow, what would be its lasting impact, do you think?
I mean, if we look at, well, what I originally thought of was, at the time when I started, this is 2013. I started in 2010, thought about it for 3 years, started small, and then officially formed the organization in 2013. And at the time, and before that, the issue of stunting, that means children who don't get sufficient, they don't eat well enough to grow normally, so they are stunted. That was an issue in Armenia. It's not today, more or less. It's been up and down, but mainly down in Armenia. And the only way you can prevent stunting in children is if there's good food on the table. And the only way you can, put good food on the table if you have an income and you have some education about what is good food, and not just potatoes and not just a lot of salt and all that stuff. And then who are the ones with the lowest income in the regions of Armenia? I wanted to focus in the regions because more jobs are available in Yerevan still today. And so for me, it was the women in the rural areas. They have their house, they have their garden, they have a pig, a tomato plant, a cucumber plant, a chicken, but they don't have a regular income.
Yeah.
And with regular income to women comes a certain degree of independence, and they will vote independently, hopefully. They will not give the money to their husbands. They will create an independent lives for them. Now, yes, the thought was there. Is this going to create conflicts in the house? Suddenly the woman has an income.
And a say.
And the guy, and a say. And the guy is jealous or whatever. And so domestic violence has been a problem. And so we were very aware of, we haven't had any problems with that.
That's interesting.
We have not had any problems with that the men have said it's more income.
Yeah.
And so it hasn't been the jealous reaction. I remember one case down south, maybe, that there was a problem there. But not, basically not.
Okay.
Basically not. And so that's been the focus, is rural areas. And so we have projects in Tallinn, in Gyumri, in Korp, in Berd, in Vartanis, in Goris, in Kapan, and a few other smaller ones around the country. Those are the big ones. And 150 women employed regularly. It's always a problem with liquidity, and because we have to pay salaries and high taxes and things like that. Our office is only 3 people. Yeah. There's literally only 3 people. And so it's a lot of hard work and struggling with the liquidity always. And then can I just mention the latest project?
I was going to get, your newest endeavor. It involves using blockchain, right?
Well, that's one.
To trace wool from source to product, right?
From wool to carpet.
Sheep.
Actually, sheep poop to carpet.
Okay.
But
all right. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit more about that process?
And then there's the Battered Bear Project.
The Battered Bear Project.
You
this is something I didn't know. No, this one I didn't know of.
Okay, let's do the short-term one, and then we'll look at the long-term one.
Go for it.
The short-term one is the Battered Bear. Okay. And this is a really touching story for me because it's about Artsakhs. And we've all been, since September of 2023, I was on the Hakkari Bridge, or on a bluff above the Hakkari Bridge with Yuma and with the Finnish ambassador. And we saw the groups of cars coming down the hill. And we stood there for 2.5, 3 hours and watched we watched the exodus, basically. And that was tough. That was very emotional. And it's still emotional. And I feel it right now talking about it. But to get the help to them organized afterwards, to get them on their feet, to get them, being a refugee is a process that takes years. Yeah. You don't wake up another place when you've lost your home, you've lost your land, you've lost your animals, you've lost your identity in many ways. And you wake up and you're just, okay, now I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to, get things organized. No, it takes time. It takes time. And we're still seeing that it's taking time. And so we've been in HDF, we've been thinking, how do we get these women, in particular the Artsakh women, involved? And you have Karamazart here in Yerevan that is 100% refugee ceramics made, a great organization. They have wonderful stuff. We have some of the things in our showroom. And one day I'm sitting in the office doing all my writing, trying to move things forward, and a woman walks in, and she looked really shy and was looking on the other side of the showroom, and she was looking at our crocheted items and spoke Russian, not Armenian, and that's easier for me to this day, actually, to speak Russian than Armenian. I don't, and she just looked at the crochet thing. Can I help you? She very timidly pulled a little teddy bear out of her bag. Frankly, nothing really different, new and innovative about that bear. But she said, you see, I said, where are you from? Because the normal question for us is, where are you from? Are you organized? Do you have a group of women? Because we don't like to work with individual women because the administration is the same for 1 or 12.
Right.
And thirdly, are you registered? Because we need invoicing. We need within the legal framework. And those, yeah. And so she said, I'm alone. I'm from Stepanakert. My family is here. We have nowhere to live. We're borrowing a room for our family of 6 or 8 or whatever it was. And that gas station explosion that happened in Stepanakert on the 25th of September, 2023. Her son and her son-in-law were on the outer edges of it and had their hands severely burned. Oh. And the son-in-law had his face severely burned. Oh, gosh. And so they survived, and there were hundreds that died. Yeah. But they survived, but they're still struggling. They still have to see the doctor several times a week with skin grafts and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, and so she said, can you sell this bear for me?
The one bear.
The one bear. And I said, look, okay. And I went home, and I have this thing about if you can't help the group, how dare you help one? If you flip that, and at about 10:30 at night in bed at home, I flipped it in my head, and I found a saying on a search that said, save one, save a nation, or save one and save a country, or whatever it is. I don't remember what that was. Was it Gandhi that said that? Anyway, and I thought, okay, helping one is better than helping none. And I had a real struggle with that because, my job is to address broader issues, not individual issues. Right. And so I put a picture up of that teddy bear that night and put it up on Global Giving. And by morning I had orders for 73 of them. Wow. And today, this was in August, September, October, today I have orders for 484. Wow. And they're still coming in. So she is busy way past Christmas. We've pulled in a disabled Artsakh woman who sits in a wheelchair and her sister. They're making a batch for us as well. And now I have to sit down in the next few days and calculate how many bears can they physically produce, because the idea is those that want them shipped to them, we do. And we've shipped to Norway, the US, the UK, Australia, Belgium, Netherlands. Yeah, we've shipped around the world. But the ones that are not being shipped, a lot of people just want to give a donation to support the cause. And so those are going to be distributed as gifts to Artsakh children by Honorary, which is an organization working only with Artsakh and their children, and particularly those that have lost the father in the conflict. So I'm spending a lot of time on this, but it is important to me. And so we've just got this great success. And of course, me, being me, I worry about what are we going to do for her in January when Christmas is over and this whole rush is over and the attention is over. So anyway, that's that. And then on to the sheep project. Yeah. Were we running out of time already?
No.
Oh, okay.
You're fine.
Okay. The sheep project is born of an idea of HCF sells souvenirs, and we wanted to do something more developmental. People want. We're discovering people want more food than they want souvenirs. Maybe they want good food experiences and stuff. And so we're struggling to keep our artisans employed. I was in Sri Lanka visiting a friend who's involved in a project. It was a post-COVID project, because in Sri Lanka they chop down banana trees after harvesting the banana and they burn the stalk. There's a fiber in that stalk, and they did a whole project on making the fibers in that stalk into fabric. And I went, do we have unused fibers in Armenia? Can we do something like this in Armenia? And I came back and I asked, so what happens to the sheep's wool? Oh, it's burned. It's burned. 90%, that's what we keep saying. We have to verify. 90% of sheep's wool sheared from Armenian sheep, the Balbas sheep, native Armenian sheep, 90% of it is burned because Armenian sheep are raised for their meat, not for their wool. Okay. And the carpet industry takes that 10% of all of that, because if you estimate that you have 700,000 sheep in Armenia and they each have 2.2 kilos approximately of raw wool, and you do the multiplication, 1.5 million kilos of wool. That's a lot of carpets. So most of it gets burned or buried. Wow. And so I thought, this is a resource. This is a natural resource. This is a carbon release issue. This is an employment issue. No. So we have created a value chain project, value chain, from the shepherd in the field to the carpet on the floor, or a felted project, because some of our refugees from Syria work with felting, right? And so from that sheep in the field to that carpet, there's a whole value chain. And is everybody being fairly paid? Is everybody being, can we contribute education to the shearing, to the washing, to the carding, to the spinning, to the carpet weaving, to the dyeing of the colors? Are there projects we can do? And so we've spent a year and a half just documenting this value chain from one end to the other. And we have hundreds of what we call rabbit holes, meaning if you identify a problem and you start going down that rabbit hole, but already we have identified shearing as a problem, and we brought in an expert from Scotland, and he taught 4 shearers how to shear with a machine they didn't have machines up there in Amasya region. We created a spinning center in Amasya where 7 women are fully employed. We got a delivery of 150 kilos of wool today, of yarn, not wool, yarn today. And we have brought in spinning experts that have taught them how to spin different qualities of yarn, different thicknesses, different textures of yarn on this. I was just last week, on Saturday this week, in Rome, Italy, at the World Wool Forum.
Okay.
And guess who organized that? Isabella Rossellini herself.
Wow.
I had lunch with Isabella. We talked about it. She has the original breeds. She told me that our modern sheep for wool and meat and milk are all descendants of the Armenian Muflan.
Wow. Okay.
I had no idea. I had no idea. And the Bezwa goat is the ancestor of all modern goats.
Oh, wow.
We have 2 native animal species that we know as modern farm animals that originate in the mountains of Armenia. And we have COP17 coming up next year. Yeah. And so, anyway, lots of... Would you say
that, what kind of doors would wool tracking kind of open when it comes to accessing a global consumer in that sense?
Because the modern consumer doesn't want a lot of things. We can't produce Chinese cheap.
Right.
So we have to add value to the wool and the product. Is it a felted wool? Is it a carpet? What is it? But we can add value to it by better quality, better design, but by more information, and not too much information, but information that the consumer wants to have. Right. That's the blockchain part of our sheep's wool project, and so it's going to be QR coded. You're going to know exactly where that sheep came from. You're going to know exactly where that spinning center was. You're going to know exactly where that rug was made. All of that stuff all along it. And we have lots of partners here in Armenia, the Rug Code, Woolway, Okra, the AHA Collective. We're all cooperating already to try to just raise the knowledge about wool and about Armenian wool, and then blockchain it so that people can access the information. Then we have already created a trademark called ArmWool, arm.wool.
Okay.
If you look at armwool.com, there you get the whole picture of what we're trying to do.
Wow.
And we're just a year and a half in, and the international experts in Rome last weekend, they were like, holy moly, you guys have come a long way in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And the expert from the UK who's going to be here next month, Daniel Harris from the Cloth Company in London, he said he has never seen such high quality hand spun yarn, and he's never seen an organization that could produce the volume, the quantity that we can produce. It's 1.2 kilos per day that a woman in Amasya can spin in quality per day, 1.2 kilos. And and they do that all day, every day. And so Daniel said, nobody produces that volume, and nobody in Europe is actually producing yarn the way you do. So I feel like we have a niche, we have a special, we can produce this, and we can create the jobs all along, from the shepherd to the sheep owner, to the shearer, to the sorter, to the washer, to the carder, and to the spinner. So we can create jobs all along that value chain, and then we blockchain it.
Nice. Very nice.
It's complicated,
right.
But I spent a year and a half learning how to,
get it from point A to point B. I feel like you're always just one corner away from the next big idea. That just seems to be your way of operating. For audiences that are audience members that are inspired by your story, stories, I should say. What is the first step that someone can take from wanting to help to actually creating a tangible, sustainable impact in a community?
Wow. First is leave your attitudes at home. Leave them at home. That's not how we do it at home. Leave that at home. You know, this is not the way to do it. Leave that at home. If you have a specific skill set, of course, I mean, yeah. But you have to come in with an open mind, and you have to listen. Listen to where they're coming from. Whoever it is, students or pensioners or in the village or in the city or wherever it is, don't come in thinking that you know better than them. This is a two-way street, and you both have to travel that two-way street, or it's not going to be a success. Right? I have very strong opinions. I have very strong opinions about a lot of things. But I've learned how not to think that I'm always right or that I always know everything. But what I do think I know is what's possible. The result that is possible. You know, I think we can create 150 jobs through this HDIF and what we do on our you know, crocheted items, and it happened. It happened. I think we can really break into the international market with our hand-spun wool. People looked at me like I was insane, but I just keep pointing, right? And now I need to go back to the farmers at our Armenian Wool Forum, November 17 to 20. I have to challenge the farmers that own the sheep. Dudes, you need to wash your sheep at least once during the season so that we lose less of the raw wool during the washing process. From raw wool today with unwashed sheep that are out in the field for an entire year, and then we wash it, we lose 70% of the weight of the wool. 70% in the washing process because it's gunky. It's got stones and sticks and mud and caked up. So if you wash your sheep, we lose a lot less. And so we need to figure out, so how much do we pay them to do that additional work? We're raising their income. Can the cost of our hand-spun yarn carry that? Right? And so it's really interesting. Yeah. And every day I'm like learning new stuff. Like
25 years in Armenia.
Every day. What is 25 times 365?
What would you say is waiting for you ahead in the years to come?
I don't know. I'm impatient always. I'm curious always. I'm ambitious always on behalf of others, not necessarily on behalf of myself. I want others along for the ride. I really think that we can get so much more entrepreneurship going. Armenia is known as the land of entrepreneurship, right? Already. But if we, back to the women of this country, the amazing women that I know, and with Norway in COP17, I've been discussing a little bit, you know, I know a really amazing woman who's studying at the University of Madison, Wisconsin right now for her PhD on the issue of the conflict between human and wildlife. And when I met her, just before she left here, and she said, I love what you're doing with the sheep. It's connected directly to what I'm doing. And I said, is that because the wolves are attacking the sheep? And we need to figure out how to solve that. That's a Norwegian problem as well. You know, a lot of sheep, grazing animals, and wolf conflicts around the world. And she said, no, it's because, well, yes, but it's also because the sheep are grazing on lands that have red book threatened species of small plants. And so, oh my gosh, then we have to educate the sheep farmers that there are certain areas that needs to be fenced off to protect these red book species. But what can we give them as compensation? How can we tell them this is a good idea? Do we think the farmers in a small village care about a little plant that's in a red book somewhere? No. So this is the issue. So Astrid Markosian is her name, and she's just amazing. She's just absolutely amazing. Another one on Tatavik Babayan. She's in Germany, and she's just a super intelligent, funny woman who just knows everything there is to know about a topic I know zero about. And it's about when companies need to report on their climate effect of their production and things they need to report actively. It's a new law system in Europe on correctly reporting what effect they have on the environment, right? And she's just this crazy smart, fun expert on this. And these are two of the names that I have mentioned, and there's dozens of others that I've just picked out these two obvious ones. And it's just amazing what these people can do. I mean, I'm not saying the guys are doing nothing. It's just that It's just that these women are simply amazing because they're educated and they're English speaking and they're flying. They're doing great things.
Yeah.
And there's thousands more.
Well, I think that it's been amazing so far. The kind of impact that you're also bringing to Armenia with all of the work that you're doing from different aspects. It's not just one in one direction. And I want to say thank you for coming.
Are we done?
Are we done?
We're not done. I just started.
So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for spending the time with us today and sharing your stories with us. And thank you for watching CivilNet.